Hey, welcome back to the show. Today, we're talking performance upgrades. Stay tuned. Jump in, guys. First of all, thanks for coming back, and guess what? Today we're talking performance. And for you guys that watched the last series, we did the MBRP exhaust, high clearance. Performance gains. Remember, that's not what we're really looking for, but I will say this, we were just looking for a little bit more efficiency, and that's kind of what we've been going with. So just so you want to know, and the people that did ask in the comments below, it netted about 1 mile per gallon more, which is fine. The drone hasn't been bad at all, if really any. On the highway, it kind of really quiets down. And it definitely made some response difference at the low end, which is nice. That's what we wanted. So that's how we kind of parlay into this, right? So we were talking about efficiency. And with that, let's see what we got. Okay, guys. So today, and first, I am not a professional. Therefore, I do not condone you doing anything specifically to your Bronco that you're seeing in this video. This is what I choose to do to my Bronco. Here we go. And that's Brocklanders. So what I chose was the Corsa air intake. When we talk about efficiency, more air in a turbo vehicle, this is a twin turbo vehicle, more air in, more air out. We've already done the exhaust, so we're escaping air like we need to be doing. Now we need to be able to allow it to breathe a little better. That being said, that's why we chose this Corsa. Not because of its great gains, but because the flow rate, right? So everybody thinks about horsepower gains and torque power gains. That's part of it. With a motor like this, we're talking about flow rate. And this Corsa, this specific Corsa kit, increases flow by 6%. Huge deal. And what they claim is an 8 horsepower gain and a 2 foot-pound torque gain, and that's on stock gas and stock exhaust. So those numbers would be raised a little bit, given the fact that we've got an open exhaust now. So that should help. So those numbers are probably going to be, 10 horsepower and 4 foot-pounds of torque, which is fine. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get this installed, and then the next thing that we've got because of that is a new blow-off valve. And the reason why we did this is because with the tuning system we're going to be using, you're going to need to account for this, because the way they make more horsepower with a boosted vehicle is create boost pressure. So when you're done with that boost and you're not needing it, you need to expel it. Well, the factory boost blow-off valve is a little slow. This'll fix that, and I'll show you a little closer later, but it's a Boomba racing boost valve, and it just is more efficient about releasing the air when you come off the gas and come off the boost. It doesn't pressurize that motor as you're slowing down. It'll actually release the pressure. So that'll be the next thing we do. This is not a horsepower gain type thing. It's just a mod that's smart to do to a boosted vehicle when you know you're going to be increasing the boost on stock parts. The next thing, let's see. The next thing we chose specifically was a piggyback tuner. And the reason why we did a piggyback is because we want to be non-invasive. Right? We do not want to go in and physically manipulate how the computer's tuning runs in stock form. So for that, we went to VR Tuned. Let's see if we can get this out without making a mess. I had to get a trash can because there's a lot of mess in here. So again, the reason why we chose VR Tuned is they had the safest numbers and the highest numbers on 91 octane, which 91 octane is generally what we can all get. And what I found in all my travels is across multiple states, 9 times out of 10 I can get 91. If I can't get 91, I can still log into the Bluetooth app and lower the level. Generally, we'll probably keep it on a level 5. And what they claim is on level 5 with 91 octane, I got my notes, it says that we'll go from 239 stock horsepower to 286 stock horsepower And from 284 foot-pounds of torque to 384, 100 foot-pound torque gain, okay? That's at level 5 on 91. Now, their claim is that like with 93 octane, out of this motor, you'll go from stock 239 to 367 foot-pounds of torque, horsepower. So that's that's 54 horsepower. Then you add the air intake, and then of course the exhaust. So you've probably, added another 60 horsepower to the stock performance levels of this vehicle. The torque is insane. The torque goes from 280 foot-pounds stock on 93 to 450 on level 7 with 93. Those are crazy numbers. Generally, we'll run it on 5, which is still an increase of from 284 to 384 with 91 octane. That's almost 100, guys. I mean, it is 100. That is 100. On a dot, 100. And really what we're looking for is the torque. And the reason why I say that is because, we have this guy right here. And when I talk to everybody about tow, I'm going to tow with the Bronco, they're saying, oh, what are you going to tow with the Bronco for? I'm not talking about pulling my big trailers. What I'm talking about is pulling Kong when we go camping and stuff. So this will just help relieve the pain on it and make it a little bit more efficient, and that's all we're talking about, guys. So I'm going to jump into these installs. I don't think, in the comments below when this video is said and done, if you guys want to see specific how I did it, I'm basically just going to run through it and just give small excerpts of things that I see. But I'm going to get it done. And then that way, we can get it on the road and start getting some tests, because I would like to get this thing on the road and start seeing what type of gains not only horsepower gains, but what kind of gains we make. Is it just horsepower and foot-pounds of torque, or do we actually get better gas mileage? Because right now in the stock configuration with the exhaust, I'm getting right at, and it's catback for people that are just joining, I'm getting right at 14.7 miles to the gallon. And I'm driving it easy. So anybody getting more than that must have longer commutes. It's not city driving. And Amarillo, where I'm at, is not huge. But that being said, the most I can eke out of this, the very, very, very best I've ever eked out of was 15. And so realistically, we'd like to see that number jump, but we're still pretty happy with that because that's all around driving and it's still 14.7. Whereas this guy right here, my last trip, I think he did something like 7 miles to the gallon. Now it's a big Ford 6.2 with the Whipple supercharger, so it's kind of understandable, but at the same time, that's what he's for. That's not what the Bronco's for. So let's jump into it, and then I'll catch back up to you guys. Hey, thanks for hanging out again. One thing I did want to say is that, this is not going to be some kind of horsepower monster. We're trying to get the most we can out of it. We're just trying to get the most reliable power and make it the most efficient we can. So, I don't need you jumping in the comments and going, hey, it's a 2.7 twin-turbo Bronco. What do you expect to do with it? Nothing. I'm just making it more efficient. I do it with everything I have. And so this just makes it more capable of doing the job easier, right? More efficient, right? So keep in mind, that's what we're doing. We're not trying to do anything crazy. We're not trying to, like I said, make this a drag strip king. We're gonna do a lift. We're gonna do the Ursa on top. We're gonna do probably 37s. No, guaranteed 37s. So we're gonna add weight. So we just want to compensate that for when we're just wheeling with it and when we're wheeling it and trailering it. So I think we're on the right track, guys. Hey guys, we'll go over it real quick. So you'll pull this Christmas tree. There's an electric connector right there, and I'll show it to you. All you do is you'll see a tab, and you just press that tab from this side, press that tab, and it pops right off. Remove this, and then right there, there's one 10mm bolt that goes into there. You take that loose. Next, from here, and again, that's a 10mm bolt. This right here is a 7. You pull this duct off here. That's 7. Then you move around to the back side of it, and then you'll see the second one, and that's this one right down here, and that's the 7 as well. Once you pull that, then theoretically we should be ready to pull this maybe out. But we'll catch up there in 1 second. So, most of it's pretty quick. They do send a pre-filter, which we will use considering we go out in so much dust. And you never know if you're following or leading, so it's nice to have a pre-filter. That way when that thing gets dirty, you can pull it off, your filter's still clean, and you can kind of continue on. So the next stage is it says that this needs to go on inside the filter, I think before we go ahead and place it in place. So let's switch to the 10, I believe. No, is it a 7? This looks larger, guys. Yeah, this is gonna be an 8. So an 8, the replacement filter that they send is an 8. It's for sure an 8 on the post plan. So it says you get this in here and then install it. And that makes it super simple. So once that's on there, obviously we're gonna put it in a place where we can pretty much get to it anytime. Get our 8. And then we're gonna get this bad boy over the lip, because it does bulge out a little bit once you get it in here, a little. But we'll go ahead and take care of that real quick. Now it's on, and we can go ahead and there's no reason why you shouldn't give it a little bump like that, because we want that to be sucked tight. From there, it says to go ahead and assemble it. So back in your hole. So pretty simple deal here. We'll start with the back hose first, just because I think it would be easier to get that on, and then transition to the front hose, because we can see it and get to it a lot easier. Get at least it in there where it's holding it like it should. We may be able to get this thing with the ratchet wrench. Maybe. Yeah. Okay, it's there. Now all I have to do is tighten this bracket down that holds it, and we should be good. Well, that complicates things. Done. Yeah. And again, and remember, guys, I mean, it's plastic, so you know we don't want to go too butch, but it's molded plastic, so it's pretty stiff. It really is. All right, so next we move on to the blow-off valve, but it went in really well, and I put the red accent in the lid, and I think you can. I'll show it here shortly when I'm done. It looks really good. So I told you I would show you guys what this is. So now I think you guys see the difference. See how that hole goes all the way through. So now immediately when there's that big expanse of air trying to be pressurized in the system when you don't need it, meaning when you come off the pedal and you're not in boost anymore, it immediately relieves it. It relieves it from the motor and takes all the back pressure off the motor. So the motor now moves freely and it doesn't have a lot of pressure focused in on it. So anyway, right here is the factory boost gauge, or a blow-off valve, sorry. All you do is simply pull off these very stiff wire clips and then remove one wire, okay? You simply force down on the clip and then it'll slide right off. Now, these are a strange bolt, but what I found, you'll see what I'm saying is they've actually got a starhead male end versus a female. So you'd have to have a strange ratchet. What I did find though was a 1/4 inch standard small ratchet, if you can focus in on that, will actually work. So we take those 3 bolts off, put it in between the factory blow-off valve, and it handles the pressure. So let's get going. Show you guys the difference. So here you can see that it's a controlled release. It's very, very small. Obviously here you can see through it. You can see the gaps through it in all directions. So obviously what'll happen is this will take the place of it. It'll still act as a boost. It'll still act as a release. And you see that inside there, this chamber sits right like that. So it sits right in there. Okay? That handles it. Now let me show you those screws. They are replaced in the kit with a standard coarse thread large Phillips, but this is what they look like. And this is what you'll use your 1/4 inch socket to remove out of the housing. Okay? So we'll come in, look at that. Looks good. And remember, on the air intake, if you get the 47003, like I did, remember that's an oiled filter. So remember to oil your filter, then put the pre-filter on it, then install it. I do suggest oiling it and letting it set for about 30 minutes and it kind of dries. It's not a huge build if you don't. But then you see exactly where the boost gauge goes now too. And of course, I think you guys can see I like red. But anyway, looks good. It's a really nice fit and finish. And it all looks like it's back in place. So let's move on to the tuner. So, kind of sad. I guess when I was ordering, I didn't pay attention real well. I wanted a Bluetooth app, but unfortunately, I didn't get the one with the Bluetooth app. I guess I ordered the wrong one. And that's only a problem because to make a change, you need to open the hood to do it manually. But not a huge deal. It's not like I would do it in a moving process anyway. And I would probably just do it as I was sitting there hooked up to the trailer. I'd go ahead and change it and say, hey, I want to run this with it. But I guess we're just going to go ahead and install it. Okay, now that we're in the unit bay and you see where I mounted it, I just used 3M tape. It comes off and comes up. Now, there's 2 leads that come off the main harness from VR Tuner, okay? And what you have is you have one that's wired in that replaces the factory cable, and then the cable goes back into our harness. That way it's a routed loop. It never is open. Does that make sense? So you're gonna have one connection here, and this is your main tube coming into the motor. This is coming into the main intake of the motor, right? And then you have one more right there. You'll be able to tell because it's right on top of the motor and it's got some really bright coloring on the wires. They're 2 greens and a yellow. So what we need to do is we need to unplug those as a factory connection. And then from there, what we'll do is we'll dummy it into the connections that come from, just like that. You push it down and then pull the harness back. And then what that'll do is that will allow, well, if I can get that stupid thing to come off, just to give it a little squeeze, what that'll allow us to do is that's how we will implement the VR tuning in place of the factory tuning. So let's move you guys over here. Maybe I can arrange you guys where you can see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So we'll just go something like that, guys. Okay, so real simple. You pull the white clip back, a lot of pressure on the back end of the piece, and then pull it, it'll come open. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna find a nice location for this. And reason being is we're gonna do a couple things. The first thing, we're gonna pull the factory plug and we're gonna put it into this guy, right? So
You're gonna look and see how it may mate, and I think this is how it's gonna go. You pull in and then push the clip in like you would do a normal factory plug, okay? Same thing with this guy. Take it, put it in, press it all the way forward, you'll hear it click, and then go ahead and push in the push pin. Now, I don't know if maybe I can, but either way, yeah, it comes right out, okay? So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is move this to the side and get this in a manner of way we're gonna chase it, right? So we're gonna take this, that's gonna be up there. So that's gonna go into here. So our factory wire is gonna be this one with the yellow, red, and blue. And we're gonna put that in place here, push it all the way in, press the seating pin, okay? And then once you've done that, lay the rest of the harness over, and then take this, mate them together, and push in your retaining clamp. Now, everything's exactly how it should be. I'm gonna grab a couple zip ties, zip tie it in place. Let's go ahead and take a look. You'll see all it does is dummy, and your A wiring harness goes at the top of your, or at the motor end closest to the firewall. And again, there is your piece that you're gonna be circumventing with the loop hose. And then I just zip tied it back around. It comes down and comes around here. And then this is the other one, right through here, dummied, and then in. And all that does is Y back here, down, and right in. Let's move inside. Oh, Bronco faithful, I misspoke. I thought it was similar to what I used for the Whipple, but it's not. Oh, gosh, you guys didn't tell me my hair was lovely. Anyway, what this is this is a service port, okay? So if you want to return it to completely stock, what you can do is you can simply unplug it from this box. And this plugs into the harness, and all it does is loop it, and then you're back to factory connections. So if you're gonna go to the dealership or anything and you didn't want them to see it, what you could do is you could put this in place of the harness, and then it makes it dummy. So if they were to plug into it, they wouldn't notice any of the difference. So obviously mine, you can see where mine is. It's sitting right there, but I'm not really worried about it because I don't use dealers for service anyway. That being said, sorry I misspoke. This does not go into OBD2. This actually is your service replacement. So what you do is when you're gonna go have service, or somebody's gonna plug in your computer and you don't want them to see that connection, or you don't want it to manipulate the numbers by any means, plug this in before you get there, and when they plug into the OBD2 port inside, it'll all look factory. So we're done, guys. The next thing we should do is fire it up, and I want to listen for any air leaks because the air box, and make sure that it idles and everything tones normally, and then we'll go from there. All right, keys in my hand, it's fired up. All I'm doing right now is kind of letting it heat up, letting it idle up to operating temperature, and just listening. Not a single noise, guys. You can see right there, it's showing it's on level 5 right now. It's got power, and it does have Bluetooth. Oh my gosh, maybe the Bluetooth, I thought it had a separate little harness because that's what it showed in the directions, but maybe it's embedded into the box. So let's take a look. All right,
So we did in fact figure out that it was not Bluetooth capable, but that's okay. I made a mistake in the beginning of the video, and I admit it. So what we're gonna do is we've looked over everything. Everything is incredibly sealed. You can see this inlet right here is far larger than the factory inlet. I can even put my arm down into it. And the irony of this is putting your hand down in this box, you can feel the air coming across your arm. That's the difference in draw. So let me go in there and I'll let you hear what the blow-off valve sounds like, and that'll wrap this video up, guys. So, that's it. Okay, Keith, got everything. So I'm actually impressed and happy how it all came together. Super easy, super fast. In your guys' time, it's gonna seem like 20 minutes, but to be quite honest, the intake, the blow-off valve, and doing the VR tuner didn't take more than 35 minutes, as I'm looking at the timer now. So, it's something you can easily do in your shop. It's something you can do in a driveway, and it doesn't take a lot of time. So what I'll say is the fit and finish of all the products we put in today are really, really good. None of it felt cheap. None of it felt cheap. None of it. And so that's pretty surprising, because a lot of times when new vehicles come out like this, and it is relatively new, that they throw everything out real fast and they don't have a lot of time to pay attention to probably quality. That's not the case. All this stuff has been really good. I sourced the VR tuner from Vivid Racing, hit them up. They've got a lot of good stuff for the Bronco. The blow-off valve came from Sticker Fab, thanks to Buckle Up Buttercup here on YouTube. And then the Corsa intake came from the guys at Lethal Performance. Those guys I've dealt with when I had a GT500, when I had, when I still have this guy, when we did a Whipple on him. And so, long time working with those guys. They're great guys. They have a lot of great parts for Broncos as well. Anyway, now what we're gonna do, we told you before that the exhaust system, catback exhaust system via MBRP gave us a 1 mile per gallon increase. Now let's drive this guy for a week and see what happens. On the next video, remember, I'll tell you what's changed and what are the drivability daily things that made a difference with it. I'm gonna drive it all on 5. For this week, because I want to see on 5, like we would all probably do during random use, how it changes things, how it changes daily driving, jumping into traffic, jumping on the freeway, fuel mileage, those kind of things. And then after that, maybe we'll dabble with the settings 6 and 7. 6 and 7 in the manual say only 93, guys, only 93. So I would love for all the other states around us to have 93. They don't. Which drives me crazy. Hey, all other states, step up your game. 91's like bad stuff. Not even mention that. 93 burns more efficiently. You're always complaining about the atmosphere. Well, here we go. 93's cleaner. It burns cleaner. So anyway, that's my rant. Sorry, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the Bronco series. Remember to hit me up on my Linktree, Instagram, Maximum Overland. Also, the Patreon, if you guys want to support any of this stuff. Not begging, just asking. If you like it, let us know. www.patreon.com/Maximum Overland, one word. And if you'll do me a favor, like this video. Give me a big warm hug. I appreciate it. 3, 2, 1. While all you guys are watching it, 1, 2, 3, give me 15 likes. It lets the algorithms know in YouTube that it doesn't matter what they think. If you're smashing the like button, they'll pound you with Bronco content. If you don't hit the like button, they don't want to show Bronco content because there's not enough of it out yet. So let's prove to them wrong that, hey, the Bronco content that does come out, like it, we want to see more of it, and it'll start filtering that for you. As a user, as a viewer, what you watch, if you'll smash that like button, they'll feed you more of it. That way when you go to your homepage, bam, you got more Bronco stuff. Talked to Baja Kits and King, still waiting on that. It's going to be a while, but that's still in the works. Rims and tires in the works. Maybe early January you'll get to see what I decided and chose for those. Thank you guys. Hey, thanks for hanging out. See you next time.
Okay, guys, we just got it out of the shop. If you're gonna shoot some B-roll and let it run real quick, give you an idea what it sounds like inside. Super tame. I will tell you this, in the 3 blocks that I've driven so far, level 5 is a huge difference from stock. Level 5 with the intake and the blow-off valve has made a huge difference in this truck. Now, I'm not on it by any means. You can see that I'm just barely going it by the trees that are passing. But it's that much noticeable. Now, remember, on 91 at level 5, it says roughly 40 horsepower and 100 foot-pounds of torque. Well, if you add what we did on top of it with the intake and exhaust, we're really looking at, on level 5 with 91 octane, we're looking at about 50 plus horsepower and 110 foot-pounds of torque, and it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. I'll hit it here just in a minute, but I kind of wanted to give you guys a first impression as some B-roll. But anyway, I mean, it's definitely far more responsive, and from what I can tell right now, without doing anything crazy, it's for sure worth the money. Now, I'll say this, the biggest benefit's going to be on the highway, and the biggest benefit next to that on the highway is going to be pulling the trailer. Not going to be as much as strain on the motor, but we'll see. But anyway, I think you guys can tell what that sounds like. That's crazy. Like, that's a crazy difference. I am blown away. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when we do the 93 octane and when we do everything else. Like, hey, that's 85, 86, 87, 88, 90, 93. I don't think you guys understand what we're talking about. This is a changed machine, and this is level 5. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it. Look at the smile on this dude. I'm so happy.